Pan Your Book is a project pan I started this year because I was in a reading slum and I thought, what should I do to read more books? Because I love reading, but I read in like certain periods of time and then I don't read for a long period, and I just wasn't happy with how much I was reading. And also I work in a school and I really think that it's important to highlight, to be like a role model when it comes to reading. You need to show that you read. We need to be visible readers everywhere. So I thought, you know what, let's try making a project pan where I work on makeup according to the books that I read. And see if I will be able to read more. And spoiler alert, I have been able to read a lot more since starting this project in January. So I'm so happy with how this project is going. Now this update will be for March. I was going to film, but I got really sick. And then after, like, when I got better, we went away to Riga for almost a week. So it's a bit late, but I have some books to talk about and some projects to talk about. So if you like project planning content, this is definitely a place for you to stick around. And I also do love to test new makeup, so that is also something you will find on this channel. But this project specifically focuses on choosing items that correlates to the book that you read. And you can work on how many items you want. I have been working on like 3 at a time, and if I don't finish, I will I will set goals for each item and so on. It's very easy, very easy. So let me talk about the book that I was reading last update and the products that I picked for that book. Because I don't have any items remaining, I think, since the book before. No. So, last time when I left you, I was talking about this book, The Silent Patient. This has been trending on Book Talk, I think, last year. I have finished this book now. I did not have that much left when I made my update. So, it's basically about a woman who kills her husband, and then she goes completely silent, and the book is written from the perspective of her psychotherapist, and it's like he tries to get her to talk, and he actually applied to a job at the institution where she is kept because he felt like this is a challenge for me to make this patient talk and to tell everyone why she committed the murder. Now, when I updated last, I didn't have much left, but I'm not going to spoil this book. There is a huge plot twist at the end, and I don't know if I liked it or if I felt that it was a bit forced, but I mean, it was a good plot twist. It was a good plot twist. Okay, I liked it. So I did enjoy this book. It was a very quick read. If you like murder, mystery, like thrillers and so on, you should definitely look to this book. And I don't know what else to say about this book, but yeah, I had not read the plot twist when I made my last update, but the plot twist is at the end, and it was good. So for this novel, I chose 3 different products, and I will roll out 2 of those, and 1 will remain in the project. So let's talk about the 1 remaining in the project. I chose my blush from Colorpop. This is from the Alice in Wonderland collection, but the reason why I chose this blush is because the shade is called Silence. It's the Queen of Hearts blush. So it's a very red blush. It's actually quite beautiful, but it's super pigmented. So But I don't have, like, this is not a normal blush shade in my collection, so I do like to have this one. And of course, the shade name, Silence, the silent patient, her name, Alicia Berenson. She doesn't speak at all since she killed her husband. So that is why I chose this blush. I wanted to use this 15 times. I have used it 10 times because I was super focused on finishing a blush from my Rolling 10 project pan, which I did finish. So, but I have 5 more uses on this blush to go. It won't be a problem to do that, to use this in April. So that is the item still remaining. Then I have an item that I am unfortunately going to declutter. This is a Lime Crime Velveteen liquid lipstick in the shade Wicked, and I chose this because one, it's blood red, it's like a very, very dark red color, and there is one, Alicia Berenson is an artist, and the final painting she does after she killed her husband is of her, and there are speculations that the red paint she used in that painting is actually blood, but yeah. So that is one reason, and it's also called Wicked, and of course the public thought that she was wicked because she killed her husband, and she was just a horrible criminal. This one I am going to declutter. As you can see, it's very, very dark, and this dries down like those classic liquid lipsticks, and when it wears off in like on the inner part of my lip, you know, the classic butthole, when that part loses its lipstick, it looks very, very bad. It looks like an asshole. Yeah, and everything would be fine and dandy, just, you know, reapply this. But when I reapply this, it gets very patchy and like super, super dry and patchy, and it's not a look that I'm going for. So I am going to declutter this one. It's baba to this. I wanted to use this only 7 times. I did use this one 4 times before deciding that no, this is not a look for me. Then finally we have this palette from Lime Crime. It's the Prelude Venus palette, and this one I chose because of the woman. She has red hair, and Alicia Berenson had red hair, and also there is talk about Venus. In this novel it's talk about a different Greek god. Can't remember her name, but she writes that goddess name on the painting, where everyone's speculating, did she actually paint this with blood? So I thought, you know, it's Greek mythology, let's just take Venus. So I wanted to use this No Pan Left Behind and also hit one pan, and I have used this a shit ton. This is what we are looking like if we focus. And as you can see, I have a pan in this shade called Triumph. I have a super, super big dip in this shade called Seafoam. I was mixing these two a lot to use as an inner corner highlight. They were super nice to mix together because Seafoam is like an iridescent blue shade. It's very much like a topper shade. I don't even know if you will be able to see Seafoam. And then if I use Triumph, as you see on top, and then top it with Seafoam, it made the most stunning like iridescent inner corner eye. So that is why we do have a big dip in that shade as well. But I was able to complete the goal. I hit one pan, and I also used all of the shades in this palette. I've been using this one a lot, but the pans are super deep. I don't know if you will be able to tell, but They are very, very deep. So, we have a success, and we are rolling out this novel as well, because I did finish it. So, before I talk about my next novel and products, let's talk about the books that I read between the book I'm reading now and The Silent Patient. So let's start with just a book that I don't have with me because it was a library book. We have a book circle or book club at work. I work at a school, and I also have spent some time at the school library. So we read the book Slaget om Troja, or in English it's called the Battle of Troy, and it's written by this Greek writer Theodore Kalofatides, but he's living in Sweden. He's been living in Sweden for a long time, and it's basically what is it called? The literary term is it called like a frame narrative? See if I remember the correct term, but it's told from the perspective of a little boy during the Second World War, and how his teacher tells the story about the Battle of Troy. So when the story takes place is during the Second World War, but the majority of the story is actually from the teacher telling this little boy about the Battle of Troy. So, this was not really a book for me. I don't like a story that is narrated like it's an oral story, so to speak. I don't really enjoy those types of books. Theodore Kalofatides is a really, really rated author in Sweden, but it wasn't a book for me. I do appreciate the theme and the idea that we haven't learned anything from the Battle of Troy until the Second World War. Even now, it's always war is still happening, and it's also the idea of women always being abused during war. So, but that is a book we read, and I don't have it with me. Then I have three other books. I ran through this one. This is The King's Speech book. I bought it because I love the movie, but this is just it's from a descendant of Logue, who was the speech therapist for the King of England, or the King of the United Kingdom, and he had a speech problem, and he hired a speech therapist, and that is a true story. So this is just his descendant has read diary entrances and journals and magazine articles and such, and put it together into a book. It wasn't really what I expected. We have some pictures, but yeah, don't read this. Watch the movie, because the movie is super, super nice. I really enjoy it, but meh. Then this was an interesting book. This one is called The Animals in That Country, written by Laura Jean McKay. This one takes place in Australia. And it's written from the perspective of an old alcoholic grandmother. And she works at this zoo, and there is a flu going around in Australia, and people who are infected, they learn how to read animals' languages. It's not like they talk to animals, or that they hear the animals having long conversations, but it's basically animals communicate in so many more ways than just by noise. They communicate with their bodies, with their scents, and human beings are basically able to take in all of an animal's languages, and it translates in their head. It was really, really interesting, because it was so absurd, but I think that she did a good. She was able to capture the like what if a fly could speak, what would it say? It would say like poop, 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 because you know flies love shit. And what would a dog say, or what would animals that are kept captive, what would they say? So it was a very, very bizarre book. I didn't really enjoy the ending. The ending felt very rushed, unfortunately. So I enjoyed it up until like the last quarter, because I enjoyed the interpretation of like animal talk. But that one I finished. And then here's one book I did not finish. This is The Watchmaker of Filigree Street by Natasha Pulley. This has been sitting in my shelves for a long time. I call my these types of books that I have had in my collection but not read shelf warmers, because they're just there warming up the space. So I decided it's time to take on this. And I read half of it, and then I decided, no, this is not for me. I decided to be better at valuing my time. And like, people always say that you shouldn't hate pan an item. You should, if you don't enjoy a makeup item, you should just, you know, declutter it. I say this same about books. You shouldn't hate read a book. If you're not enjoying the book, don't force yourself to finish it. This does not apply for students, because then you have to read a book because it's like part of the curriculum and everything. But you know, when you when you read for your own pleasure and enjoyment, like what's the point? So I did get halfway there, and then I decided no. It was like about some kind of terrorist attack. And this mysterious Japanese man making watches, and you had like some switch in perspective from Japan, and like it's about, I don't know, I don't even know. It was very steampunky, and I don't know, I didn't really enjoy the way that this author was writing, the narrating style, or the style of the author. So I decided to fuck it. No, I'm not gonna waste my time reading this. Let me know if you're the same, or if you're a person that can't, you know, you have to finish a book that you've started. Please let me know. I would love to hear. But those are the books. So we have 4 books, with the one from that I bought from the library that I finished, and one that I just got halfway through. Now let's talk about the book that I'm currently reading. This is also a shelf warmer. It has been sitting in my shelves for quite some time, and I have decided now is the time to read it. This is a Swedish book. It's called Vänligheten, and it's by the author Jonna Widder Lindqvist. Vänligheten means like kindness, and this is an author most famous for his horror stories. This is a thick-ass boy, which is also why it has been sitting in my shelves for quite some time. But it's about people living in this little Swedish town, Norrtälje, and how they grew up together. 2 of the people in this like group, I wouldn't call them friend group, but they have an ability to kind of tell the future, and it's always connected to some kind of disaster, someone committing suicide, or something like that. So it's not a really nice ability, because they see death all the time. They are called like Sibyls. Anyways, this cover is a picture of a container, because in Norrtälje, this little Swedish town, there suddenly appears a yellow container in the bay, and no one knows where it came from. And they are like, it's locked and secure, and no one wants to open it. And after some time, because of bureaucracy, they decide to actually open up the container, and when they do, they discover like almost 30 dead bodies rotting in there. And they also see this kind of brown mass seeping out into the river. And this is the start of, you know, the apocalypse in Norrtälje. So the story is from many different perspectives, from people like meeting each other, becoming friends, but also from random people in Norrtälje. The premise is, in the beginning, every chapter ends with some kind of small segment describing some act of kindness in Norrtälje, or like in Sweden. And then the further along the story goes, you kind of realize that there is some evil, that there was something evil released when they opened the container. And I really enjoyed this book. It's quite different from what he has written. He is very good at capturing the Swede. Like one of the characters, or many of the characters, play Pokemon Go. This was released in 2021, like describing the adults playing this game and how weird it is, but how it kind of brought people together, and also describing because the horror isn't really in what was released, the horror is in human acts, how people can become so evil. And I don't know, really, I haven't finished, but it may be something supernatural affecting them, making them become, you know, the absolute worst person in the world. But it's also like, this is human acts. It's nothing else. The horror is in what the humans do. They are affected by something, but they still are committing the acts. So, I don't know if I'm describing this book very well, but let's talk about the items that I'm bringing in. So, first of all, connecting to this yellow container, I'm bringing in this eyeliner from LH Cosmetics. This isn't super old, but I noticed that it is drying out. And it's not creamy anymore to use on the waterline. I mean, you can see, but it's very tuggy. So I just wanted to use this and see if I need to declutter it or not. I did put it on my inner corners today, and I don't know. It's in the shade Happy Mood, and well, this is not a very happy story, but we can say that kindness makes people happy. But it's based on this yellow color, that's why I'm rolling it in. And I'm rolling it in to use 10 times and see if I can keep it or if I need to declutter it. Then, correlating to the name, I'm bringing in a palette from GlossGods. This is What's Your Power? And I'm gonna work on a specific shade from this palette, and it's the shade Kind. There. It's a blue-green duochrome. Absolutely stunning. Almost like purpley. Yeah, you can definitely see the green, and then you see the blue. I'm gonna hit pan on that shade. It's my Decision. And obviously I'm rolling it in because it's called Kind, and this novel is called Kindness. Finally, I'm bringing in a highlighter palette. This is the Martine Cosmetics Shark Zone highlighting palette. You have 3 highlighters here. And why am I bringing this one in? Well, one of the characters, his name is Max. He is the one with this power to see the future, see what's going to happen. When he was in Cuba, he experienced sheer terror, and that is what they believe has been released, like the pure essence of terror or fright. That's, you know, to conquer the kindness. It's actually terror that has been released in Norrtälje. So when he went to Cuba, I think it was, his diving buddy was killed by a white shark. And of course then, that makes total sense. So we have shark zone there, and he was actually so traumatized, so he kind of, he just couldn't continue with his own life. He got super depressed, and yeah, he's thinking about that experience when like reflecting on what's happening in Norrtälje, what is the supernatural thing that could have been released, and he's thinking a lot about that extreme terror that he felt, and yeah. So those are the products. We have the eyeshadow, the highlighter. Oh yeah, I didn't say, I want to use this highlighter palette in any capacity 20 times. It's very new in my collection, so I just want to get some use out of it. It is a super stunning highlighting palette. The shades are very smooth and not at all like glittery. I don't know if you will be able to see. So in any capacity 20 times. And I should be able to finish this book by next update, and I don't know what I'm going to read next. I do have a book that we will read in our book club, so I know that I will finish that one as well, because we have a meeting. Our next book club is at the end of April, so anyways, that is it for this project. Please let me know what you think. Does it make any sense to you? I hope that it does, because I'm really enjoying it. I'm so proud of the progress that I made, and how many books that I've read since starting this project. And yeah, I hope that you are all well wherever you are, and I will see you in my next video. Bye guys!